Hello, everyone, and welcome back to USA States Cup 2026. We are here in the losers bracket with a matchup between two pretty solidly seeded teams, Massachusetts versus Stateless. Massachusetts coming off a 5-0 loss to Texas in the previous round. Stateless coming off a bye round after losing to Tennessee in the round of 32, so have only played the one match so far, did not play round of 16, and this is the first time we're going to be seeing them since that round of 32. I'm Dio, and I'm joined by Bless for this match. How's it going, Bless?
Going pretty well. Thank you for having me. These two teams, it's actually the second time they're meeting, and the first time just last year in the exact same situation, losers quarterfinals round one, so bit of a grudge match for, especially for the side of Stateless, where they did actually get swept quite in brutal fashion 6-0 by Massachusetts. So looking to put up a more, hopefully a bit more than just a good fight this year. Of course, they do have a couple new faces on their roster this year. Destros, Coral, and Wins, some newcomers, and then Tolok and Relic gonna be making a big return after some years of break on each of them. Of course, we do have some warm-ups to ease us into the match for now, but yeah, if you'd like to tell me a little bit more about these players, as fortunately I'm not too familiar with all the open rankers.
Yeah, we do have, I think, some pretty solid teams here for both of these squads. Players like Daitaku Helios, also known as Luke, and Rykik, going to be kind of the two perma-lobby players here for Massachusetts, and generally the most solid players on their roster. You do have players like Elsie, formerly known as Cappy, actually former USC winner in USC 2021, or USC 5. Changed states from Florida to Massachusetts and is playing up in Massachusetts now, so definitely a solid addition to their roster and a pretty well-known no-mod player overall for LC there. And a couple of other very solid players on this side as well. Somebody like Zeltz, I think pretty well-known in general, formerly T1 Faker, and a pretty solid all-rounder and a little bit of a tapping player as well to kind of help out that roster with Cappy and Rykik. Meanwhile, for Ethan John, you've got a little bit of gimmick there, and for Evernight, you've got a little bit more of the mechanics. So you got a pretty well-rounded roster here for Massachusetts. As for Stateless, you're definitely going to be looking at RRR winner, aka Dawn, as one of their best players, if not their best player. Very, very solid overall tournament player in general, as well as definitely Yodestros and Zyrelic as kind of the next two very solid players. I have seen Coral be very solid in past years as well for this Stateless roster, and seeing Wins join in is a bit of a surprise to me, but is also a very solid tournament player, has been around the scene for a long, long time. So looking forward to seeing how this matchup goes, especially since we have not seen Stateless in the round of 16 at all, and this will be the first time since round of 32 that we see them.
Yeah, and notably, the SR has gone up quite a bit since the round of 32. That pool being all the way down at around 6.5 stars average. Going to be a little bit lower than that even for some of the maps in that pool. And of course, going past the round of 16 and now into the quarterfinals, we are well into 7-star territory. So not going to be seeing as many free FCs, and maybe some players a little bit skill capped. I wouldn't expect it from these two teams, as they are quite well seeded, 11 and 17. But maybe on some maps where they struggle with a little bit of roster depth here and there, some third player issues might be popping up. As I actually do remember, excuse me, from the last round when Massachusetts did play up against Texas, Ethan John, also known as Nushi, having some less than stellar performances on his main skill sets. I do think those were just a little bit of some low rolls, but we'll have to see. Hope he can sort of recover here in this matchup and put up a little bit of a better fight, as I do think the Stateless roster is quite mechanics pilled from what I have heard. whereas Massachusetts does have a little bit more depth into their gimmick, although it's not exactly amazing either. I mean, they are sort of relying on Evernight to fill some of those gimmicky maps as well as the hidden maps. We saw them come in for those maps against Texas in the round of 16. Other than that, of course, as you mentioned, Daitaku Helios and Raikik probably going to be covering most of the maps, consisting of the mechanics core. So we could just see Massachusetts try and out-muscle Stateless. Also, of course, the higher seed probably indicating some level of increased proficiency on the mechanics, with how we do the seeding in the USA States Cup, that being by the average rank of the team. And if you can farm, if you can get a high rank in solo play, probably have some pretty good mechanics, although of course always a question of how much that's going to translate into tournament play. But I am a bit interested in how Massachusetts wants to go about attacking the Stateless rosters. They do sort of have a couple options available to them that both look equally enticing.
Yeah, I think especially for Stateless, they got their only 2 points against Tennessee in the round of 32 on Glacier Fall and on the Double Time 2 Bamboo Dance. So it's a little bit of the mechanics and a little bit of tech that actually gave them their wins, but really elsewhere you look at the Nomad 3, the Hard Rock 2, they're losing those to Tennessee as well. And so it's not necessarily a solid pick for them, especially into a roster like Massachusetts that is seeded much higher than that Tennessee roster that does have these better mechanics players, especially like Raikik, but also like Luke and LC on their team, and Evernight, of course. So yeah, definitely I think Stateless is in a bit of a bind strategically in this match, because a lot of their good players, especially like Relic and like Destros, really do want to pick into those mechanics maps. And so it's a question of, do you want to pick your kind of solid picks, or do you want to just pick into a perceived weakness on Massachusetts despite it not being quite as strong on paper for you? We do already see a couple of bans come out here from Massachusetts, just double banning the AIM maps in the Nomad 5 and the Hard Rock 1. And I do think that makes a lot of sense. Yes, you have some really good mechanics players on the side of Massachusetts, but they're not necessarily AIM players, especially not AIM consistency players. Whereas for Stateless, that's definitely the case on their mechanics side, especially for players like Destros and Relic.
Yeah, and on that note about how Massachusetts will try to play around the mechanics question here and how Stateless is going to pick, actually, I think it does rely quite a good bit on how they're feeling about the SR of the pool. Of course, in the earlier rounds, when you are playing in that low SR, you do typically just want to pick those maps where you think you can consistently, or at least semi-consistently, put out FCs, and it's more so about what you can do rather than what the opponent can do. And as likewise for your bans, you want to ban out what you think the opponent can just FC straight up. But once the SR gets a little bit higher, you want to sort of try and pick something where you think you have a little bit more skill cap than the opposing team is. You're not really expecting to see as many FCs in the lobby, but of course, with open rank, with these kinds of players, you can just see FCs straight into the later stages of the tournament. Maybe not for these teams in quarterfinals, but there's definitely still some potential, especially with players like Raikik and Luke on the side of Massachusetts. Some very renowned tournament players. Despite my shallower knowledge in the open rank scene, even I have heard of them. We do have the first pick for Massachusetts coming out. It's going to be some awkward aim this on the Nomad 1. This was a custom for Corsace, I believe, back in 2022, if I'm remembering correctly from the map description. So perhaps a little bit less on the aim consistency side, but it is still aim, and I am wondering how that's going to play out. Because you did mention they're a bit more, the Massachusetts mechanics players do favor a bit more of aim and tapping mixed mechanics. or at least that's what it seemed like you were
This was
implying.
the pick for Stateless. I will
Pardon me.
correct it before we go
for that
further. And I think that's part of why they're picking this is it's a lot of awkward aim. It's also a lot of slide or jump aim, which can be even less consistent for a lot of players. And so I think, especially after Massachusetts is going to double ban the Nomad 5 and the Hard Rock 1, both of those being kind of aim consistency picks, I feel like this makes a lot of sense for Stateless as a first pick.
Okay, well, with the, of course, with the context of that again, then yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Here we go. We do have the rosters in the lobby. Daitaku, Helios, and Raikik, of course, the two-man mechanics core for Massachusetts. Going to be accompanied by Evernight. I believe he's actually a rookie, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, at the very least, it is his first time playing for Massachusetts in the USA States Cup. On the other side, we do see Wins, and accompanied by Destros and Coral. Destros looking to be comfortable on the Nomad, and accompanied by Coral as well. No Relic OS and no Tolok, maybe just the Nomad. Not exactly the strongest suits. On that note, we do see Wins with an early break, and that is the only real action that has happened so far, but can we see some more trades? And actually, it's a full bottom white for the bottom row of Stateless, traded out only by Raikik and Daitaku Helios and Evernight, holding on to their FC still for about 100,000 score lead, trying to push that to the limit, but Evernight can be causing things to stumble right before that line as we head into the first break of the map. Luke, the only FC holding on at the moment.
Yeah, Daitaku Helios in the top side for Massachusetts, still holding the FC, and that is really all they need for now. It is going to keep the score lead pretty much even at the moment, though. A little bit more combo on the supporting players for Stateless as compared to Evernight and Raikik. So Coral and Destros going to be adding a little bit of extra combo, and there goes Evernight, and there goes Raikik as well. So that bottom row for Massachusetts once again finding another break. And suddenly the score lead not so secure despite the full combo from Daitaku Helios halfway in, and it's going down now from 90k to 45k in that short time since the last bottom row miss. But there goes Wins, there goes Destros, there goes Coral, all in short order for Stateless, and suddenly the score lead right back up over 100k in favor of Massachusetts as Daitaku Helios continues to hold on to this full combo 2/3 of the way into the map and extend this score lead beyond anything we've seen so far and into the 200k range.
Unfortunately, going to be finding a slider break to put a stop to that, but still, even with the miss, just some incredible accuracy on the map as well. 99 point, just about 6 as he will reach there. The supporting combo is struggling a little bit, but likewise on the other side for Stateless as well. The bottom row, Coral, Destros, Raikik, and Evernight, that's where we have seen a lot of the misses, as Wins did have quite a nice recovery that was contesting Daitaku Helios earlier in the map, but not a lot left to be said about this one. No combos anywhere actually going into the ending, as Wins did break his combo right before the break, and yeah, this 200,000 score lead will stay where it is into the dying moments of this map, as Daitaku Helios really strong opening first map, and it looks like it will end up in a break point for Massachusetts as he looks to close out 650,000 individual score for himself.
Yeah, both the bottom row supporting scores there for Massachusetts also above 400k. Neither of those, just under 400k there for Raikik. Neither of those above 400k for Stateless, just Wins on the top there. So Daitaku Helios with that 670k, going to be very, very strong in comparison, and a good early lead for Massachusetts here with that breakpoint into their own next first pick. We'll see where they want to go with this now that they've already gotten a point on something a little bit less conventional, a little bit more aim focused as well. Definitely don't need to be super scared of the aim left in the pool at this point, I believe. You do have something like the DT3 available if you are feeling like going for something more speedy in terms of aim. There is also some more slider aim in the free mod 2, and that is a little bit less conventional as well, especially in a free mod pick. And there are a lot of other things going on in this pool as well. Of course, you have some more of the speed mechanics in the DT2 or the Hard Rock 3 available for these teams. You do have a more stream-focused map available for mechanics picks in the Nomad 3. And that's without mentioning all of the alt in this pool as well. There are quite a lot of kind of alt aim control focused picks in this pool. So we got options here for Massachusetts right now. It really just kind of depends what they want to focus in on. I feel like with the players that they have, it probably makes sense to go with something a little bit more stream focused. This is kind of that, but it is much more on the alt side, much more on the aim control side, especially with that hidden mod, 60th Summer of Love by Forest, mapped by Phyto. This is it's essentially Eurobeat alt, but there is a lot of aim control and high spacing snap aim along with some finger control in this map to go along with it.
Yeah, and on the note of that aim control, some of the back and forths and the way these notes are stacked on top of each other with the hidden mod do make it really hard to get anything above 400k. You know, there is quite a bit of space in the map where you can farm some, I wouldn't call it free combo, but still easier combo as long as you are comfortable with the hidden flow aim. But the back and forths and the way they're stacked and how they stagger when you're going back and when you're going forth, it can get quite difficult to read. So going to be looking like a challenging pick. Looking at the players for Massachusetts, I would expect to see Nushi in for this one, also known as Ethan Jun is what he goes by for his current display name. Interesting not to see either of Daitaku Helios or Raikik in at the moment, although I guess Raikik not exactly the most hidden pilled of players from what I can tell. For now, going to be looking at wins in Coral at the moment, and just looking at their roster, I do think this will just be Dawn to fill things out, but it looks like we see Destros in the lobby as well.
I'm a little interested to see Raikik in on this pick for Massachusetts, just because he is not a hidden player. Kind of same goes for LC, although I think LC is going to be a lot more comfortable on the hidden than Raikik is. LC, formerly, at least in past years, very much a no-mod player. Raikik, definitely still not a hidden player, though apparently more comfortable on it than the other members of Team Massachusetts for this map.
I mean, I have heard that LC is not terrible at hidden either. I heard they're actually quite decent at it. So maybe just some information not going around, but here we go right into those back and forth patterns. The hidden already catching out Raikik, immediately seeing his lack of comfort on the mod is, I mean, Stateless will trade it right back with both Wins and Coral dropping their combos in the intro, but it is, of course, just the intro. We'll have to see how much that is a sign of things to come. I think with Raikik, we are mostly looking at him to try and gobble up the easier, quote-unquote, parts of the map and sort of give up the combo when the really difficult reading back and forth sections hit him. And maybe he's just so comfortable and consistent at getting the easier parts compared to the other players. Of course, the other player who I would mostly suspect in for Massachusetts on this map was Nushi, but not showing such a great performance against Texas the other week. So maybe just not feeling the best overall. We do see, however, some early misses coming in for Stateless. Lots of misses, actually, as Destros, the only remaining combo, does go down as well. Raikik will trade out, but Elsie still holding on to a very nice combo, 700 and counting. That's already over, now over 200,000 score lead for Massachusetts. So we are only halfway done with the map so far.
Yeah, and this might have been why Massachusetts picked it. If Elsie is just really as comfortable as she looks on it right now, then there's really not much that Stateless is going to be able to do against a score like this. Coral does have some good combo, though, for Stateless. So if Elsie drops and Stateless is able to hold some of these bigger combos for a while, there's a world where this goes back, but it's going to require a bit of a miracle at this point, 2/3 of the way in or so. There's a break to come through for Raikik, and so it is going to slow the lead down a little bit, but the lead's still growing in favor of Massachusetts at this point. coming into the last quarter of the map, and there goes Coral, there goes Destros as well. And even with that break from LC, now there's just not nearly enough combo on the side of Stateless to bring this back, and I fear this map is over, Bless. That is going to be 2-0 for Massachusetts after this pick. Zelts to carry the combo into the finish line for them and keep that score lead up at 280k. Being matched by wins just does not matter here at the end of the map. And this is a pretty solid pick for Massachusetts. 260k, not a huge lead, but when it's only a million team score for both of these squads, 250k is suddenly quite large.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're looking at around 50%, or sorry, not 50%, don't do math on street, kids, 20%, excuse me. That is 20% of your entire team score. 200,000 when you're looking at a team score of 1 million is quite a large proportion, as you alluded to, and I think we can start thinking about how Stateless should continue their pick strategy in this match, because the hidden alt aim control not looking good for them on this one. If LC is just going to come in and do things like this 99.5% accuracy into the ending, I will highlight that they do find a chain this on the last pattern. Unfortunate for them, but still, regardless, this is just such a good score. 685,000, just head and shoulders above the rest of the lobby, relying on some star firepower and some solid enough supporting scores to take that one home for Massachusetts. And Massachusetts clearing on the straightforward aim mechanics, now clearing on some of the hidden gimmick alt aim control. It is a bit of a question for Stateless as where they want to go, because they've already had 2 doors shut, I almost want to say quite cleanly, in their faces.
Yeah, very solid 2-0 lead there for Massachusetts, and now Stateless with the next pick, going to be trying to gain some control back in this match, not give up another breakpoint. And after that, I feel like you're in a bit of a bind. You've picked something a little bit more aim focused, a little slider focused. You've had something picked into you that's a little bit aim control and alt focused. And so if you're looking at the pool from a strategic standpoint instead of just an individual map comfort standpoint, all that's really left is mechanics picks, right? You really just got kind of your speed picks and stream picks left. They are not going to go for that, though. They're going to go for DT alt instead. And sometimes that is the right choice, just going for map comfort in spite of what kind of strategically picking skill sets would tell you. So this DT1 black and white by P model is largely alt at a DT BPM and has a lot of aim control. Once again, much more flow aim than aim control in general, but it is still in the Kirby mix style that is so ubiquitous for P model and Susumu Hirasawa songs.
Yep. Now, I will say one big difference, of course, between this flavor of aim control and the previous one is going to be the presence, or rather now absence, of that hidden mod. So maybe Cappy, I mean, I don't think Cappy's going to have any issues with the AR. It's 9.7. It's not high AR like the other 3 picks in the DT pool. So she should be quite fine for this as well. Her no mod proficiency going to be coming into play here. Or sorry, that is Elsie now, as it looks like she did have a name reversion. Going to be accompanied by Nushi and Evernight here. So a bit of a switch up from the last one. No more right kick. It was interesting to see him in for the hidden, but now we do see Nushi come in when there is no hidden. And hold on, actually we do see right kick in the lobby, but no, he will step out. On the other side, wins continue. We have sort of seen him be a pretty constant presence for the Stateless team, if I recall from their round of 32 match correctly. So just consistently putting up some good scores all around. Going to be accompanied by Coral, and going to be finally seeing Dawn come into the lobby. You did mention her at the beginning as one of their stronger players, so going to be excited to see what she can do.
Yeah, and I like this roster for Stateless, especially. Massachusetts with Elsie, Rykik, and Ethan John coming in, as you said, and that is also a very scary roster. So both of these teams, I think, looking really solid for this map. Only 158 BPM, so really focused on the alt patterning with this DT1. Already a couple of breaks come through for both Ethan John. Just for Ethan John, actually. I believe that was Bancho for LC. So early lead to Stateless, but mismatched by Coral. So score lead likely to come back the way of Massachusetts given some time. And this is a somewhat long one as well. This is up there at 2 minutes and 34 seconds after double time. Doesn't sound that long, but when you're actually playing a map this long with DT, it can definitely feel that way. In the meantime, lots of breaks coming through. RRR winner, aka Dawn, wins, LC, Ethan John, Coral, all finding more and more misses, and it's just Rykick left alone on the side of Massachusetts, holding the lone FC in the lobby and pulling this score lead over to the side of Massachusetts all by himself.
Yeah, I think Rykick is pretty happy to see this pick on the board. Coming off a pretty good performance on the Hidden 1 aim control with the Hidden mod, and finally he doesn't have to deal with his approach circles randomly disappearing from his screen. He can see them, and that is going to help his accuracy a lot, all the way up at 98, almost 99, as this score lead continues to tip towards the side of Massachusetts, especially with Dawn dropping her recovery there. Recovery is still in place on the rest of the lobby. Wins and Coral holding nicely, Wins holding the highest recovery, and there goes LC as well, so trying to stem the bleeding a bit, but as long as Rykick keeps holding on, I think he's doing enough to keep this lead solidly in favor of Massachusetts, especially with how far it has climbed in their favor at this point, 150,000 and counting, especially with Coral missing the right after the spinner. That is going to hurt, and especially with Wins going down, I think we might be able to just call this one early again, Dio.
Yeah, now that there's just zero combo on the side of Stateless, a quarter of the map left, and the score lead up above 300k, I think you're probably right about that, Bless. It's not looking very good for Stateless on this pick either, and Massachusetts looking very, very solid on this, especially Rykick. But that includes these other members as well. Ethan John up above 400k, better than both Coral and RRR winner. And even the 350k from LC is still matching the scores from Coral and RRR winner there. So yeah, across the board, Massachusetts doing very, very well. Only wins with a higher score than either Ethan John or LC, and of course cannot compete with the full combo. Still going strong from Rykick into the ending here. And it seems he may actually finish out the map with the full combo. 98.21 accuracy for Rykick on that FC. A fantastic score from him, over half his team's score, and almost the 1v3 for Rykick on that map.
What an incredible performance from Rykick there. 98 accuracy on the FC on the DT ult. At that. And now that we have seen a few maps play out, I do want to touch on a point that I kind of glossed over a little bit in the start of this match. It's about skill cap and whether we have reached skill cap or not. I think in terms of FCing maps, we definitely have reached the point where you're not expecting multiple players to FC to put out FCs at the same time. So far, I think that has been the only FC, and the other two maps we've seen here were just a bunch of 400Ks with a little bit more star power from Massachusetts. And at this point, we do have to start looking at that difference in star power as the main factor, looking at Daitaku Helios, looking at Rykick, who I believe are both 4WC players, if I'm remembering that correctly. Would you happen to know, Dio?
Daitaku Helios, maybe. Rykick has not been 4-digit in a while, so definitely will not be on a 4-digit World Cup team. I'm not super informed on the 4WC rosters right now, actually, since the tournament hasn't completely started yet.
Right, of course.
So not super well informed on them at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I think the skill cap is kind of there at this point. Very obviously, we've only had the one FC so far through this match from Rykick. And for the side of Stateless, you really do need to find somebody who can put up an FC somewhere or put up a big score somewhere, because Stateless has been getting a lot of these wins, or at least 2 of these wins, through those bigger scores, right? They've gotten now a big score from LC and a big score from Rykick in order to win their own maps, and a big score from Luke on the very first map to get that breakpoint as well. So all three of these maps have really been decided by the fact that Massachusetts has somebody who can actually play the map really well and put up a big score, and Stateless doesn't. And that lack of single-player skill cap is definitely hurting Stateless on this match so far. Going to be going with the free mod 3 for Massachusetts, and I think this is a really good pick for them. I think they are going to be very, very comfortable with this. You have LC on your team, you have Rykik on your team, two incredible stream map players, and this is right up their alley in this free mod 3.
Yeah, and of course, with the free mod, we do have to talk a little bit about the mod specialization free mod, favoring not necessarily roster depth on a mod, on one particular mod, but just having that one really strong star player on each of the mods, and then of course having the no mod player. And I do think Massachusetts does have the advantage there. Rykik, we just saw him on that DT1 putting up an FC, and I am very certain that he will be looking very good either on the Hard Rock or the no mod. Cappy probably going to be filling in for the Hidden and maybe Evernight on the no mod. We could see Evernight on the Hidden and give Cappy some more no mod comfort to increase her chances of an FC. And pardon me, I keep on calling her Cappy, but her currently displaying him is, of course, LC. Looking at the other side for Stateless, gonna be seeing Destros probably in for the no mod comfort there. Coral, and I'm not too familiar what the rest of their mods are going to be looking like, as not super familiar with the mod pools, but we are going to see them in just a moment. Destros gonna be on the Hard Rock, and actually Coral on the Hidden, allowing excuse me, allowing Tolik on the no mod. But for the side of Massachusetts, it is basically what I expected. Rykik on the Hard Rock, LC on the Hidden, and Evernight on the no mod. LC feeling comfortable enough on the Hidden, I guess, to let the rookie take the no mod for a little bit of ease and comfort. We will be seeing some early misses coming out from the duo. The two of them, however, going to be traded out by Destros, but still a small lead to the side of Massachusetts, and a lot of that is coming from the low accuracy of Coral, all the way down at 96. However, LC also at 96, 97, and I mean, I just totally missed that Destros is all the way down at 92. So yeah, that is going to be making up a lot of that score difference, especially after he finds a little missium on the curvature of that stream. And advantage Massachusetts on the combos. And pardon me, it does look like Coral actually was a Bancho break earlier. So they do still have two FCs to hold against the FC of Relic, and the very nice recoveries of Evernight and LC. Of course, missing a lot earlier on in the map. We're going to do a little bit less harm to their score cap. But here we go into the first TI section. Some big streams, especially for the Hard Rock player. Going to put a lot, Hard Rock players, going to put some more strain on them, and especially Destros feeling his strain still down at 93% accuracy. Not quite able to have the same level of tapping stability as Rykik, and there goes his combo once again. Fortunately, Tolik and Coral still holding on, but on the other side of the alley, Evernight and LC holding on to their reverse chokes as well at the moment, and 60k score lead is going to be the result of that as we go into a little bit of a 1/3 section.
Yeah, this alt BPM change section here is definitely an easy place to miss. Another miss to come through for Destros on that Hard Rock. Still the full combo for Rykik. Still the double FC for Coral and Tolik. But Evernight and LC on those big recoveries, as you've said, for Massachusetts, making this look really solid for them. And there goes Coral. There's a miss on that linear stream section right after the changing BPM. And oh no, Coral. Oh no, Coral. Just full chain misses a lot of the streams there. And that is going to really, really tank the score. It's happening to Destros as well on the side of Stateless, whereas Massachusetts, comfy as a clam on this map, and they are just barreling through this last quarter of the map. Tolik also down now as well on the Nomad, and this is just completely over in every possible way. 600k up, full combo on the Hard Rock for Rykik, double reverse choke for Evernight and LC on the Nomad and Hidden, and Stateless with 0 combo to combat anything that Massachusetts might be able to do going into the ending here. Finally, another miss to come through for one of their members in Evernight. It's the no mod down, but the 2 modded players in the bottom row there on the Hidden and the Hard Rock for LC and Rykik still looking fantastic here for Massachusetts. And Stateless just cannot find a win so far in this match. LC with the break there on the Hidden going into the end of it. Rykik still on this Hard Rock FC looking incredible on this map. This is exactly his skill set. This is exactly his specialty and what you expect from him on this style of map, because this is absolutely his best possible map in this pool. And for him to put up the Hard Rock full combo, gotta feel good on this one. 98.29% accuracy. And once again, very close to the 1v3, but you do have a 2v3 with any 2 members of Massachusetts versus this Stateless roster. It is a 4-0 lead. It is the potential last pick for Stateless up next.
Yeah, and that's also got to be quite a healthy bit of tournament PP for Rykik. Gonna be checking his... Maybe he's had enough of these kinds of plays already, so that they don't quite fit into his top 10 if he were to check the elite bot. Yeah, Stateless, as you were mentioning before that map, they're looking for a pick where they can find a member who can just put up a really good score. And for the first time, I believe it was that match, Tolik putting up above 600k, you know, the previous highest scores, wins 530k on the DT1, wins again just under 500k on the Hidden one, and wins again just shy of 500k on the Nomad one. So it has been wins over and over again. This time it's Tolik for 600k, the highest so far. I mean, maybe it is a bit more within their skill cap wheelhouse, that free mod 3, but I mean, it's also a bit of the danger of picking something that is within your skill cap wheelhouse, or rather your FC wheelhouse. As if it's something that you can FC as Stateless, then chances are Rykik plus another person is going to FC, or if not, just put up 700k or greater. They will be going into another tapping pick, however, so maybe liking the feel of the free mod 3, just not liking the feel of the mods, perhaps, and the BPM. I'm going to be looking for some more high tapping scores and maybe a couple unfortunate breaks. Going to be praying for those on the side of Massachusetts here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very different sort of map from what we saw on the free mod 3 as well, right? You mentioned the BPM, you mentioned the mods, but just in terms of what this actually tests, it's going to be very, very different, much more focused on kind of your burst speed on this map as opposed to what we saw on the last one, which is of course the long stream stamina, 200 BPM streams, flow aim. So this is going to be a very, very different sort of map from what we've seen so far. So let's see just how comfortable both of these teams are as we get into Gucci Flip Flops featuring Little Yachty by Bad Baby. What? Thank you, Dada. Thank you, Dada.
That is, yeah. No words other than that. Interesting set of artist names and titles. It's an interesting pick. I mean, it's also notably it's a minute and 15 seconds TV sized. Hello, TV sized map in our tournament, of course. Also, thank you, Dada. Also aired 10.2, so this is kind of new. We did see some Hard Rock picks, of course, on the free mod 3 for each side, but that only goes up to AR 10. Our first time above 10. I don't think these players with how high ranked they are will have any sort of issues with the high AR, especially in the year big 2026. But we do have the players loaded into lobbies. It's going to be Luque making his return alongside Rykik, their evergreen star, and accompanied by Evernight. Going to be going up against Tolik and Coral once again on the tapping. It's going to be Dawn joining them for this high BPM, and actually it looks like there's quite a bit of aim as well before we get into the meat and potatoes of the burst parts of this map.
And you know what? I may be just misremembering which map is which in this pool, because this is definitely not bursty. This is
Yeah.
tons and tons of aim, and a lot of awkward aim at that. It is working out well for Stateless so far. You've got the FC on Coral matching Rykick right now, and you've got better recovery on both Dawn and Talik than on Evernight or Daitaku Helios. So Stateless so far so good on this pick, and with a sizable score lead for the first time all match long, 200k in their favor. And there goes Rykick, found the miss on the full combo. Coral now uncontested here for Stateless, and Evernight and Daitaku Helios. Evernight actually also finding a miss. It does trade out with RRR winner Dawn there in the bottom left for Stateless, but you've still got an uncontested full combo on Coral. You've still got a much bigger recovery combo for Talik, and even with those misses, it's a 700,000 score lead for Stateless, and they are far and away ahead of anything Massachusetts can do on this map. 2v3 for Stateless this time around.
Yeah, and what a breath of fresh air that one is. Finding some success on the high AR, and also finding a little bit of luck that they needed, not only with the multiple high scores that they were able to put up on their side from Coral, Talik, and even Dawn. So that's 3 players who were able to put up upwards north of 600k. Also, Rykick finding some unfortunate misses in the middle of the map, a little bit of luck playing there in the favor of Stateless, but even if he had FC'd, you saw what that scoreline was. An FC would not have been enough to bring back 700,000. And Stateless finally on the board with their first point on a pick of their own to stem the bleeding from this early 4-0 start for Massachusetts.
Yeah, with that win, Stateless, I think, can feel a lot better about picking into some of the more aim-focused maps in the pool, potentially something like the free mod 1 that we have in that free mod pool, potentially something. I mean, there's not, unfortunately, a lot of aim left in the pool at this point, so it's kind of tough for them to pick into anything besides that free mod 1. There is, if they're really feeling funky, something like the Hard Rock 2. But I do think Hard Rock Precision maps look pretty good for Massachusetts as well. It's still kind of tough for Stateless at this point, because even though you've gotten that point on the board, it doesn't really lend itself to all that much left in the pool. Maybe the DT3 if you want to go, or DT4 if you want to go for more high AR as well. That can be an option. Meanwhile, though, Massachusetts is going to be very happy to pick into this Nomad 3, which is another stream flow aim stamina map. So, of course, they're going to be happy to pick into this. 190 BPM instead of 200 BPM, and no BPM change section with the alt part that we saw in the free mod 3. Obviously, all players are going to be going no mod on this rather than with the free mod 1 hidden 1 hard rock requirement. And this one is a little bit higher approach rate and OD as well. It is CS 3.3, AR 9.9, OD 9.9 for this map. So a little tough to hack, maybe a little high approach rate for some players, but I think for these squads, you're going to be comfortable on this approach rate for this map, especially with the sheer note density of lots of stream maps like this.
Yeah, notably, Destros was on the Hard Rock earlier. I think he's going to be a little bit happier to see the larger circles, as he was the main player to struggle on the side of Stateless on the free mod 3. We saw lots of misaims from him on the streams. Talik and Coral looking a bit better for themselves, and of course Talik can be quite happy to be on the no mod again, I would think. If I do remember correctly, this map does have quite a bit of linear streams as well. However, so we did see the players struggle a little bit with that. I believe it was Coral who did eventually drop his big combo when the linear streams came in. So gonna have to be on the lookout for those. On the other side, of course, we do see Rykick, LC, and gonna be accompanied once again by Evernight. Just a really solid tapping core. The same 3 we saw in for the free mod 3 earlier as well. And we do already see some linear stream shapes as well, some curved shapes as well, so it's not all linear, but of course also the sudden spacing change is going to be playing a big part in the difficulty. We do already see Destros break. Maybe it is not just the circle size that he was struggling with on the free mod 3 earlier, Because, you know, AR 9.9 and OD 9.9, that's pretty close to AR 10 OD 10.
Yeah, very, very close indeed. And all of these players looking pretty comfortable in terms of the accuracy on this map. A couple of breaks, though, coming through for Destros and Tolik already. Tolik just now finding that second break. So Evernight, LC, and Rykick on the three-way FC looking very, very comfortable in comparison. High accuracy for all three of them versus the 97% FC for Coral. And so Massachusetts looking pretty solid on this pick once again, and it's what you'd expect after how that free mod 3 went. They had a very, very solid score lead. They were very comfortable on that map. And there's no real reason to expect this to go any differently from the outset. We do have, I think, more of a window of opportunity for a comeback on this one for Stateless. But with that miss from Destros, it's going to be that window slowly closing over time as this score lead increases, not even halfway in yet. And already only the one FC for Coral. A recovery, sure, for Tolik, but not much in the way of any significant scores for Stateless. And 220k, the score lead for Massachusetts, already not quite halfway in, with the three-way FC still going strong. They look fantastic on this map.
Yeah, of course, looking just as we expected them to after that Fremont 3 performance. I will say, with how long this map is, the opportunity of a comeback is still here. We are just about at the halfway mark, a tiny bit longer than the Fremont 3, clocking in at around 3 minutes and 30 seconds. But those misses have to come in on the side of Massachusetts, and they have to stop coming in on the side of Stateless as Tolik continuing to miss in the second Ki section, and that door is looking really close to shut. Evernight finally finding a break on the side of Massachusetts, and that is step 1, but they're going to need step 2 and step 3 to come in real fast here. Otherwise, this already slim sliver of an opening will just be closed shut. And Massachusetts into the break, into the final quarter of the map, looking quite comfortable with a 406,000 score lead. And of course, we do have to look after this map as well at what else is remaining in the pool. Massachusetts only needing one good pick after they lock this one up, which they basically have done at this point. And I'm looking at something like the No Mod 2, a little bit more tapping with some techie elements. Maybe not as excited about something like the DT3 or DT4, which are high BPM tapping, but also on the high AR, which they did just lose on the DT2. But at the very least, there is that No Mod 2, and I'm sure they're more than happy to play some of the other gimmicky maps in this pool. But we all see into the ending of this map. LC going to be dropping her combo. Rykick still holding on, looking to close out another FC, this time with 99 AC as opposed to 98 on the Hard Rock earlier in the Fremont 3. Coral, a shining light of hope, a beacon of hope for Stateless at the moment, but unfortunately going to be finding a big chain miss into the ending streams there. Still a solid 830k and something to potentially look forward to as something to play off of, but not looking so good at the moment.
No, and really, I mean, it's two players able to match Coral for Massachusetts, and then Evernight still outdoing either Destros or Tolik. Rykick thought it was GG well played, and no, it's not, sir. It is best of 11, so you're still here for another map at least. Not quite over yet, man. We still gotta play one more at least. Same goes for Elsie, I suppose. Whoops. Yeah, Stateless got the next pick, guys. We're not done yet. We still gotta play at least one more. Yeah. No, it's not over till it's over. It's only 5-1. It's a best of 11, first to 6. We still got one more. And yeah, I feel like with Stateless, I mean, their one map win is on the DT2, right? I feel like DT3, DT4 present themselves as obvious picks. If you want to go for something aim again, you can go Fremod 1 as another pick, or I mean, DT3 is aim focused. There's more bursts in it, of course, than the Double Time 2, but there is a lot of aim in that as well. So I think those all make a lot of sense. We'll see where they want to go, though. And it is just going to be DT3. Makes sense.
Yeah, if I'm Stateless here, I'm definitely looking at the DT3 and DT4, and excuse me, probably just looking at the team sheet to decide between these two maps, and also asking my teammates who's feeling which one, as the maps are pretty similar, you know, 270 BPM for the DT3, 278 for the DT4. both pretty similar in mapping style as well, with just some bit of older style of DT consistency. You know, you can see by the mapper name on the DT4 Garden as it just disappears off our screen. But this one also quite an old map. It's gonna have some just a healthy mix of aim consistency and bursts, some good old DT consistency mechanics, mapped all the way back in 2013 and ranked in 2015. So yeah, another old map. Thank you, Dada. Over 10 years old. I think I played this one when I was a child.
Yeah, this is quite an old one. I remember playing this, farming some Nomad plays on the top diff of this back in the day.
Yep. How old is your Ozu count, by the way?
2014.
Oh, hey, that's just same as me, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot. There was a lot of 2014 to 2016.
Yeah, that was
kind of the first big wave, right?
Big growth period. Also, that's it, coincidentally right after the modern mapping really took hold of the scene with RLC back in 2012, the Pretender, and then I think Pishifat was around that time. Maybe he was a little later. I'm not super well versed in my history, OC history, as I wasn't too involved in the community at that time. But yeah, regardless, plenty of old maps for us old folks to enjoy. We do have the rosters in the lobby here. Gonna be Rykick and Evernight once again, as LC gonna be stepping out for this one in place of Zelths. New to the state, but I believe they did play as T1 Faker for another state in the past, as you kind of alluded to, them name changing from T1 Faker. And yeah, gonna be looking pretty comfortable on this tapping-centric, or somewhat tapping-centric, or tapping-adjacent aim mechanics. Yeah, this is just a 2015 consistency map with DT slapped onto it. On the other side, we are going to see Coral and Talik in once again, accompanied by Dawn, who I believe we saw in for the DT, in for the DT2 as well. So looking pretty comfortable on the high AR, I guess, or at least comfortable enough to fill out. But the rest of the team not looking so comfortable, as they do look to drop their all of their combos right before they go into the Ki. And over on the other side, things are taking a turn from bad to worse for Stateless, as this time Massachusetts not looking so weak on the high AR DT mechanics. Rykick holding on. Evernight and Zelths almost holding through to the end of the Ki. And it is Rykick's lone full combo, in addition to the other supporting scores, which were held on for a bit longer than Stateless. Going to be resulting in around 200,000 score as we go into the second half of the map. Dawn going to be trying to match the FC of Rykick with her recovery, as is alongside a good support from Squirrel. And there goes Rykick on a big chain miss on the jump patterns. It's just Coral to hold with an opportunity for a comeback here. Only Evernight on a bit of a recovery to stem the bleeding, but all the rest of the combos in the lobby have disappeared.
Yeah, but this is a big enough combo for Coral to actually take this back. If they can hold long enough into this last Ki time, this can definitely go back the way of Stateless. They can extend this match by another map with this pick and potentially start up a comeback here. It would have to start here, but no, Coral finds the miss just after the spinner. And with that combo back the way of Massachusetts on Evernight, 200,000 score lead coming into the end of the map here. And that is going to be it for Stateless in USA States Cup 2026. An unfortunate 0-2 record for them. They get the win by default last weekend in the bye round, but it is an 0-2 record in their matches for seed number 17. Massachusetts going to be moving on into the second round of losers bracket this weekend in the quarterfinals, knocking out Stateless 6-1.
Yep, Stateless unfortunately continuing their bad record of first losers quarterfinals matchups, only winning once out of 5 times. And we will make that once out of 6 times now, as funny enough, that number does match up with that scoreline you see on your screen. 6-1 will be the result for Massachusetts. And Massachusetts likewise continuing a quite good record in the losers quarterfinals. Going to be feeling quite happy about the performance of Rykick and LC on this pool, and pretty good prospects, I would say, moving into their second round opponent for the losers quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have that matchup versus Connecticut a little bit later on today. I believe that one is going to be at 0 UTC, so in about 3 hours. In the meantime, we do have another match coming up at 22 UTC as well. And I believe the current match going on over on the B stream is 3-2 between New Jersey and Minnesota, currently in favor of Minnesota, up 3-2. So we will send you over to the B stream to take a look at that match as well. But you can come back here at 22 UTC for Nevada versus Washington, as well as on the A and B stream for the 0 UTC matchup between Massachusetts versus Connecticut, as well as Colorado versus Maryland on, I believe that's going to be the C stream. So gonna be a fun one. We've got a few matches going on later on. I believe there's a Pennsylvania potential at 23:30 or 0 UTC, depending on the Nevada-Washington winner. There's a few things going on, so check the main sheet for schedules, and we'll see you back here very shortly. We'll send you over to the B stream for New Jersey versus Minnesota as well. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to Bless for commentating. Thank you to Pitzort for streaming this match, and we'll see you all next time.
See you later. Have fun on the B stream, guys.